Hey everyone, this is Day Trader Rockstar, and this is a market radar for Wednesday, July 9th, and going out to the end of the week. And I was picking this up on Tuesday evening, so going into Wednesday, of course. And we come off of a two days of selling. And I think it's important to get this video out because probably the biggest question you get now at this point is the market ready to pull back? And we know that, or I feel that the negative reaction in the market has a lot to do with what was going on in Israel, the news coming out of there. Watching the volume, watching some of the news, breaking news briefs that come across the wire and stuff, and seeing some of the rockets and seeing the volume pick up in the downside. So definitely putting two and two together and seeing that today's action definitely has a little reaction to that. But there's some important things I want to bring out, and you always want to make that great call in the markets. I know how the markets are. The markets have been continuing to push higher, but we could look at standardized pullbacks. I don't think we have to look at anything like a big market correction of 20%, maybe 10%. The standardized market correction number they look at is a 10% correction, but I don't even see that happening. But what I do see happening is the market is set up here to sell off. And we're going to look at some of those things that are happening right now. First of all, we already started off taking out the highs, recent highs. We broke above this rising trend line, and that happens a lot, an extended move. It's kind of that short squeeze type of capitulation type of move. It wasn't any abnormal volume on this, but it still did take out some levels. And that's the first, really the first criteria I look for when we're looking for a reversal. We usually look for that after we, kind of push the levels, take out highs or take out lows, and then you reverse. And lots of times it happens in that same day. You push higher and then close lower. In this case, we pushed higher, we broke through that trend line, we definitely got extended, and then we started rolling over. And that's not the important part. The important part is seeing the signals and what I'm looking at right now. Now, the daily and the 60 is the two time frames I'm looking at. The daily right now is, I would say, pretty bearish, and it's a better example is to take a look at the Russell 2000, which we concentrate on. Really able to spot a good, what we call lane sell divergence, sell side signal. And a lane divergence is, really how the stochastics were intended to be used. Measuring momentum. As momentum shifts, then the price shifts, and you can see momentum here did not get back up to recent highs. Yet the price here really extended and pushed higher, so momentum started dropping off. And the example I always give on the radio is take a rocket in the engine in a rocket. The rocket is propelled by the engine. That engine gives that thrust, and it continues to thrust even after the engine dies out. We still have the momentum that kind of pushes us a little higher. So the price or the rocket goes higher even though the engine has died out. And that fuel that's dying out is measured here on the stochastics, and we kind of rolled over. And once we start to see that we're can't get to new highs on the stochastics, we kind of cross over. That price is going to now start to roll over also when we kind of get that. And it works on both the buy side, which is down here. We have a great example of a lane divergence buy side where we had a low that bounced and that retest and taken out new lows, but we didn't take out the lows. The momentum has shifted, and we have that buying momentum here picking up. So that new low here really confirmed that that was the divergence, and soon after the price is going to move. So one of the best levels, because it enables you to really get into a move on weakness. Now this was a big move, but down, and that kind of reflects itself on the hourly and the nice on the daily what you're looking at. But then on the hourly, you get down and you get oversold here, and that's where we come to the SPX or the S&P 500. Basically, we're looking at the same thing. We start off on the daily, and we see that we have that rollover and a slight little downward trend of the stochastics. Yet the price was a little bit higher, very much an exact replica, but just a little bit different. And another thing I'm pointed out today is that we have this coil on the stochastic. And the coil stochastic is where we make a series of higher highs or higher lows, depending on the way the stochastics are actually lower highs, I should say, are moving. In this case, you got those the higher lows being put in here. You have a low here, pulled back, a low, pulled back, a low, and that kind of coils up, and that's a really great sign of strength. But as that kind of comes to that that little apex there, that point, the breakdown usually corresponds with the channel that's kind of lots of times forming underneath it, and we can actually start to do a little more charting on this. But what I would do is actually just create that parallel trend line. And this is not, not looking at too much here. I'm just throwing this right in right here. But, when you see this kind of pattern break down, you look at this underlying trend line, and that usually breaks down in correspondence with this kind of coiled up stochastic setting. So we have the potential of breaking down here, a very good one. And then the 60-minute time frame, that's your little monkey wrench, because when we pulled back today, we followed the pullback. We actually did see where the market was actually going to bounce, and pointed out on a perfect 1-2-3 pattern. And again, a 1-2-3 pattern is just a standard how to recognize a channel and how to trade a channel. You get the 3 pivot areas. The 2 pivot areas make that straight line. This one, you just make a parallel straight line. You just drag it down, let it extend, and when the price comes down to that level, you're usually looking at a great opportunity there. Plus, there's another trend line underneath this. It looks like that goes out here. We'll see where that actually goes through. Might not even go out. It might go out a little bit further, but don't have that one mapped out exactly yet. But anyway, let's forget about this line. It's more important to look at the 60-minute time frame and this kind of channel that's playing out. Now, what we're going to watch for, and this is what I want to watch for, and this is going to be the confirming factor. We always take a look at that 60. It's been key. It's been dead on for the last 7-8 times that we oversold on the 60. It's been really a good signal for at least a day or 2-day rally or bounce off of those levels, and usually it's been a really good setup for just more highs. In this case, we had that 60-minute setup, and it set us up in a bigger flag. But each 60-minute setup was a bounce, and then eventually bounced out of here. Here we had a nice 60-minute. Here you had a couple 60 minutes, but the bounces that come after the oversold level for the last 3, 4, 5 months, I haven't gone back this far. I mean, you're looking at them, and this was even that lane divergence back here on the 60, which was a great setup. So right now we're set up, and it looks like the odds for a bounce are there. So I would not rule out a bounce tomorrow just based off the 60, but what I want to see is that bounce fail. I want to see that bounce fail. We don't know what kind of news is going to come out, but maybe a little rotation, maybe not much of a rotation, something up here, and then we're going to cross over, and we're going to kind of confirm maybe a newer trend down or a little more weakness coming down. So if we get this to move up a little, kind of flag out a little bit more, and then break down, that would, that's what I'm looking for, that sign. And that's, again, once we see that negative indication that we're failing to make new highs and stuff, we can start to work with that a little bit more instead of guessing if this is the first pullback. So right now, the 60-minute time frame, slightly bullish and looking for a little upside in the morning. I'd keep my eyes, on the stochastic, see how fast we rotate. If we rotate back up, how fast we get up there compared to where the price is. If you start to see maybe a divergence, maybe you see the stochastics rotating and price not really moving up, or maybe you actually see the price start to move down. Again, that would really confirm that daily to be really setting up as a reversal, and things can get very sloppy soon after. So I'm going to be looking for the early morning push, maybe even a whole day of 60-minute activity to the upside. As it starts to rotate back up, we'll watch for the failure. If we don't see the failure, we'll follow it, kind of manage it. And that's it. But overall, if I were going to put it on the line, I'd say this is the best opportunity in a long time that I've seen this market have an opportunity to sell off at a decent level. Because of that combination of that coil stochastic and the lane divergence, all these things lining up, a lot of these stocks are really extended. A pullback here definitely would not be unwelcome by a lot of people, and that last note, unwelcome, a lot of people expecting it, and that's the only thing you got to worry about. You don't want too many people expecting this is it. We're getting a pullback. That kills everything. So anyway, we could talk circles about this. What we can look for and what we can't. The two main things: the divergence, the coil stochastic, the kind of the upward wedge pattern. Everything here pointing downward. How far do we get down here? I don't know. We'll get to that level once we start to break down and we start to put in new pivot areas. So now let's just take a look at a couple stocks fast. All right. So again, looking more bearish now, and based off that daily. So let's take a look at the couple of good trades recently. The beard trade, the whiskers on my skin, on my chin, working out great. Last week we had TJ Maxx right off that lower 1, 2, 3 pattern. It bounced up to our profit zone. We hit it on Thursday, took profits, and it's actually looking quite good going into tomorrow. So again, I talked about this a lot on the radio. There's a secondary target up here. I don't expect that secondary target to get the weight on that. I would say you could probably get in here, and you're probably going to get a little bit further. We looked at this thing moving to 54, but that was basically hit today. Got very close to it. So another 50 cents is doable in this stock. And again, I always love watching those gaps up there. So the longer down the road a little, I think that second target possible, 56 to 57 area. But that's a trade that we already took. I'm not in this one, but that was the beard trade from last week. And of course, this week's beard trade, we just closed it out this morning. Well, this week's beard trade was Apple. And again, going into this one last week, love the setup, love the hype on Apple. Just had a good read on this one on a 60 and a daily. 60 was just crossing back up. Just wanted to get a couple points on it. Our target was 96, and we basically got there yesterday, but we followed through, held on to it, sold into the gap up this morning, and basically got out of it close to the best levels of the day. And from that point, it's actually pulled back and no longer interested. The trade was perfect. So that was the beard trade for this week, and that one was knocked out of the park in 2 days. Really, 1 day. So I'm working on that next beard trade, even though I have until Friday to announce it. But it might come earlier. I've actually been doing a lot of research, and I want to talk to you about a couple of these stocks that are setting up for tomorrow. All right, so this is an added bonus. Here's an updated watch list. With both longs and shorts. Here you go. Let's just go through this. It's going to be kind of a special one here. Let's talk about one of the best bets for this week right now. This one I put out on the HPS site, which is for members of Day Trading Radio. It has all the alerts set into that. I know I'm putting it out there as a kind of a freebie right now because it's Tuesday and a lot of things happening. But I want to show it to you, and hopefully you could join us and trade it with us. So normally I was looking at going through stocks. I did a stochastic scan, and I see that the PSX here is just starting to get oversold. I like trading this stock. I've traded this before. It seems to pattern out good. And we see we had a big candle back here, big drop out and push back up. And now we seem to be pushing up. We have that top pivot, and we have this little candle put in a nice pivot. So we have a decent trend line on top. Combined with this trend line, we're going to put a parallel channel in here. We're already oversold on the daily, and we're oversold just on the 60. So we're very close to getting a significant bounce here. Well, a bounce. Normally it would happen in this condition, so we're not 100% sure that it's going to break down through. We're right on support right now, 79.25. So there is an option of actually taking it there. I set the alert up in the system. Let me show you the alert in the system here. If I could get that to you fast. And I'm excited about this one. I think this is going to be a great trade. I consider it a day trade, and again, this is on the HPS setup in the HPS site. So again, the profit zone, the buy zone, the stop is all programmed into the back end of the dashboard, and when these prices are hit, you automatically get that email or text delivered to you. So you don't have to be in front of the computer constantly to get a great setup. All right, so that's the benefit there. The stop here also registered in there. So anyway, I want to see this come down to this parallel trend line. Anywhere in that 78 area, I'm thinking. And then remember, it's not that far off. It's $1, maybe $1 below us. If we could get that a little move down, a little bit lower, we have a great opportunity down here. I think it's going to be a classic 1, 2, 3 bounce. It could be even a scalp. Just a great setup. So like definitely looking at this as a great setup for the rest of this week. If it does come into zone, we'll be on that one. I'm definitely going to take that. All right, here we have FMC. This is a chemical company. It's on the HPS thing, and we've been waiting for it. I've been waiting for it. I said, I want to just wait for this 1, 2, 3 pattern to play out. I don't want to take this unless it gets closer to this trend line. And you can see today we started making that little move down. We might have to adjust the buy zone. If it hits the buy zone tomorrow and we get that alert, probably we'll still wait for a lower entry on this. So just kind of keep that in mind. If you do get that, there's still going to be some underlying trend line action underneath us. But again, this is starting to look more and more interesting into this buy zone. So I don't think it's going to be the worst position. But I'm going to wait for a little closer move down. As we get close to that trend line, I'll keep us updated. Right now I'm looking at about 68 zone. We're trading right now at 69.84. So yeah, there's definitely a possibility. So that's what we're looking at on that one. And you can see it just here, FMC. So I want to keep us up to date on that. Discovery. We've been there, done that. Discovery is one of the nice divergence setups recently. Nice push back up. Look at that perfect test of the trend line. Staying really intact in this trend line. It's kind of a double bottom bounce. Outside day. A lot of people already took that trade. Now where is it headed from here? Well, it's worth watching. It's not set up 100% here. That 60 minutes pulled back, and we still have that double bottom. We still have this downward channel. So the odds are it looks like we're going to try to head higher. So that 60 minute might be timed right for a little push higher. Probably not going to be interested in this one. Might not even watch it tomorrow. But there's something there. Baidu finished off the day taking a position in this off of this lower trend line. I knew it was going to be a good setup. I was a little late on the entry, and we kind of marked it off, and it did push higher. And I'm just looking for a couple points on this. Just look at the daily here, flag after flag, and this could be a more mature flag that's building out. There is some downside available here, so I don't want to stick around here. This is a big candle, and you can pull back into that candle before moving higher. We can move a little higher. Really have to see how the market's going to set up, so we have to be fast and nimble on this. And maybe not, maybe we're going to get just $1. EXC. So classic 1, 2, 3 pattern. Utility, I've talked about it, not really mentioned it too much because I'm not trading this one, but you can see it actually, I showed you this one last week and we were talking about this underlying area. So it actually came down to what we call a trapdoor trend line. Trapdoor opens up, you fall down to the other trend line and you bounce off of it. So you're oversold. It's interesting. It's worth watching. Valero hit its trigger, and I said, you know what? Wait on Valero. Wait until you get down here. It just looks weak. I would possibly even pass on the trade altogether. I'm not excited about this one. That's the reason I got out of it a couple days ago. So it's just don't want to revisit it. And I think there's just too many other great setups out there, and you're going to see those. Tractor Supply Company, TSCO. Still a channel within a channel, and we still have this alert in the box down for this area. I don't know if we're going to get down there. There's been a good tradable stock. We traded this one last week. Really a nice bounce from here to here. We took it off on the 60. Now it's getting oversold again. So this is a stock I would consider buying on that 60-minute time frame. So tomorrow we'll have to keep an eye on TSCO as a 60-minute setup. Might be a mover tomorrow. Dunkin' Donuts, DNKN. Nice flag. Everything got kind of pulled back today a little. So it wasn't nerve-wracking. It's just actually, still pattern forming. What I like is that we held strong here, in an embedded stochastic. Sometimes you could actually just kind of flatline, and that just kind of tells you the trend is going to, even though you do get a big candlestick down or two down, you never really lose that, and you hold that good relative strength. And that's what it appears here. So looking at this pullback is probably an opportunity. Either way, I don't think we're going to get lower than the recent low here. So I don't think we're going to revisit this trend line down here. The object here right now is to find out where the best area it is for the bounce. Could it be happening right now? Tomorrow we'll know if this is the best area in a while. The 60 minutes set up, everything is set up. You know, this would be classic. We just run right through this, and this would be just another textbook flag we find. All right, next one. We're rolling through these. Budweiser. Here's my short, and this could be a possible beer trade. Beard. No, this is beer. It's the beer trade. Or did I say beard? Budweiser. This is our short. Double down on the short today. Ready to rock it. These rising wedges. Are key short setups. Great. Talk about an HPS setup that was a rising wedge. I want to show you one that was on this week's watch list. Really a perfect textbook short. Again, it hit its target, blew right through its target, crushed it. Workday. So here's your workday as it was given to you. Short zone 91.98, 81.50. It was given to you at 88.96, and then boom, it just dropped right out of this rising wedge pattern, right through the target. Still looks weak, but there's nothing you can do about it. But expecting the same stuff to happen on Budweiser. So Budweiser already had this rising wedge pattern, eventually broke down. A lot of chop here for a couple months. So the worst thing that happens in the stock is a lot of chop. But you know what? It's not a bad hedge. If there's weakness going to come in this market, this one's probably set up perfectly to drop. So it's a hedge towards that. And it might drop on its own, even if the market kind of hangs tough. You know, Budweiser technically looks like it's getting a little tired. So I think you have a couple different options here. Looks good. We might get the gap down tomorrow. Might have to make decisions tomorrow. Take profits or let it ride. I want to bring up Lockheed Martin. Lockheed Martin's interesting. I don't trade this stock. I don't have any view on this. And, you know, I just, again, even though this looks like a perfect underlying trend line, my concern is sometimes patterns like these break down and then pop up. If you're not getting that initial bounce off of this lower trend line, it's telling you something. You know, you did have a bounce here once, and now you have that secondary bounce, and you're banging up against, and you're almost flatlining here. My only concern, other than that, coiled up hourlies and this underlying channel line, you know, and there's really just almost a wedge pattern in itself, typically break to the upside. So I'm curious to see how this plays out. Technically, I want to see this break out, but I'm not confident in it. So that is that, and then here's a couple new shorts I'm starting to eyeball. WDC, Western Digital. When did this thing ever get up to this high? I remember this thing was about going bankrupt a few years ago. And well, anyway, Western Digital, big candlestick, kind of, you know, just extended. You know, I'm not looking at anything technically not sound on this. It just, if you're looking at some things that look like they're really extended, this is one of them. Recently took out the recent highs. Decent candle today. Seems to be crossing over. Something I'm watching on that. Strata Systems, SSYS. I'm not a big fan of 3D technology. This one, you know, nice pattern. Everything here works out great. And again, this little spike higher and a close lower and then the drop out. This looks like a short, you know, starting to. I just don't like the big range here. So this big range is going to be very tough to, you know, kind of chop around inside this before heading lower. But I do like, you know, 3D and SSYS lower. Aetna, hate to say it, it's a lane divergence to the downside. And here's your recent high, stochastic high, and here's your lower high with the higher high in the price. And well, you know, even at ex-dividend today, still, it is what it is. Can you believe it? Very similar to the setup over here. All right, and you can see what happened from there. So Aetna here, great lane divergence. I might get back in this. I might. You know, I might have to go to wage war again. And then I see a lot of people talking about advanced auto parts today. And just looking at the daily here, what I have on my notes here is coiled stochastics. Coiled stochastics. Typically, you know, rising wedge in the stochastics, very bearish for the breakdown. fall in one, very bullish for the break higher. So, that's what I noticed on that. I can't see myself trading this position. I'd like the Budweiser better, but this is usually a textbook breakdown. We'll come back and revisit it during the day. No doubt about it. I'll follow it. Just remind me. All right? And that's it. That's all I have for you. But I do, I like the PSX. Great setup. Great scalp. HPS setup. Dunkin' Donuts. Excellent setup. Baidu. Want to take profits tomorrow on that if we can. And the other ones, they're always coming up. Let me get this out to you. It's getting late. And I'll talk to you in the markets tomorrow. Don't forget, if you're not part of the site, come over at daytradingradio.com. That's daytradingradio.com. Check it out and get on board.